So, what is the strongest tribe? I've had many discussions about this with many Chima fans, but now I will document it once and for all. So I was going to make this earlier, but I was too lazy and I decided to do something else, but later I decided that I really couldn't procrastinate any longer, so I just made the video. So, we're going to examine all tribes very closely, talk about their combat advantages and disadvantages, and finally give them their score based on those attributes. Some tribes may have multiple scores due to them having a power spike in certain conditions, or when do we ignore some of the things keeping them down. So, we're starting off with the main and most honorable tribe of Chima, the Lions. This mostly honorable tribe is the holder of the standard power ranking of 25,000 points. So the Lions are the most, if not second most, numerous tribe in Chima, only maybe surpassed by the Eagles, judging by the amount of buildings. And of course they have the big Lion City and Temple, whose walls have heavy cannons mounted on top of them, who, to be fair, aren't that powerful, considering they didn't just try to obliterate one of the Crawler's wing strikers on impacts. But if I'm honest, that's probably due to the show not being allowed to include death. So, the Lions have a huge population, own the Chi market, aka the center of the Chima economy. They have strong defenses, but although they have a few weaknesses like the wolf raid showed us, they're still a formidable line of defense that can't be underrated. This all combined means that the Lions get a well-earned power ranking of 25,000 power ranking points for the normal power level. But that's not where it ends, people, because on top of the 25,000 points, I have to add almost 1 million extra power ranking points, due to them having access to all the golden Chi and normal Chi in the world. And yes, I know that they have a sacred rule against misusing Chi, but the special power ranking is for special and highly theoretical and unorthodox cases. Very close to the Lion tribe comes the one and only Eagle tribe. This tribe is a very good example of brains over bronze. This tribe has some insane technology and knowledge, which is actually so good that it came to the point that many of the tribes, but predominantly the Ravens, adopted their technology. And because of this, they all read and learn the Eagle knowledge. This tribe is not prepared for war, but why should they? They have many fast jets and extremely powerful and fast tanks. That's basically rival, if not overcome, the tanks of today, like the Leopard in firepower and speed. In addition to that, they can obviously fly and have a skyfort, in which their library is housed, which contains knowledge so advanced that they have Chi-powered light sources, which we can compare to our light sources being powered by electricity. They have even discovered advanced ballistics and jet propulsion, which makes it really easy for them to invent long-range Chi-powered explosive rockets to rain death over the Chima landscape as they please. This is why the Eagles get a whopping 22,500 power ranking points. And we have the Gorilla tribe, the tribe which is so strong that in fact they can take on whole groups of enemies by themselves, but they are really bogged down by their love of nature, /religion, /lifestyle, which forces them to not harm nature in any way, shape or form, which it's just so bad if you're a huge macro animal that swings around trees and walks on hands and feet, which means that you have a huge footprint, but that is really not great if you're trying to save every little flower. We actually see examples of this causing problems for the gorillas in the show, where, you know, they just bump into each other just because there's a tiny little flower in the way. And this wasn't even a fight. We also see them totally ignoring a fight just because one tiny little flower was crushed. That's a really bad thing to do if you're an army commander. So that's why this tribe gets a standard power ranking of 15,000 power ranking points. Even though, like Gravis said, the gorillas, if they wanted to of course, could beat every single tribe single-handedly. But they just don't want to. Except when they did. Because there's one moment where they go absolutely berserk. And that is the moment when their Tower of Flower, basically the thing that they live for, got destroyed. And this actually happens. And we saw that they absolutely bodied the crocodiles who, you know, destroyed the Tower Flower in combat. And I mean they literally destroyed them. But Chima channel, in that fight you were talking about, the crocodiles still beat gorillas. And to that I say, yes, that's true. But you have to remember that it doesn't matter how good your army is. Because if it doesn't have a good strategy, it will lose. And you know, them don't thinking about petty things like strategy, they still got beaten due to the Crocs using superior strategy. But despite that, I award an extra 25,000 power ranking points to the Gorillas tribe. So now we go on to the Bear tribe. And as you all know, these bears always sleep, and the only good thing they've ever done with their sleeping is making an avalanche and squishing some bats. But to be fair, they do have their dream world, where they can walk around in an altered world of Chima, which actually is extremely overpowered due to the reconnaissance advantage that they have. Due to this, they will never be able to be surprised in a fight by troops flanking them, and they even get a huge advantage in sieges. But still, because they're in a winter sleep, like every time, they only get a power ranking of 5,000 points. But it isn't all, because there was a time where the bears were actually awake and built their eagles. And if you take this into account, and of course how strong those mechs were, or actually more like are, they were one of the strongest tribe at that time, and combined with the Dream World powers they will still have, they get at their peak a power level of 20,000 points. But that certainly is not all, people, because they have a special power level that is insanely high. Just because if the right circumstances present themselves, they go absolutely mental. And these circumstances are, for the bears, the presence of the ice bears, and that's why they get a special power level of 50,000 points. Then we have the Rhinos, and these are a special case, because they are probably the strongest and tankiest tribe of them all, even able to withstand 2 bolts of a giant explosive cannon like we see here. But also, just like real nature, they are very, very stupid, which makes them land a low power ranking, which is only 10,000 points. This is because if the male Rhinos, which almost all the Rhinos are close to the Rhino Legend Beast, they become extremely smart, and I really mean extremely, and even smarter than the Eagles, which to me justifies the points increase. But even though they are smarter than the Eagles, they can't fly or have flying machines, yet. Okay, now we go on to, in my opinion, a highly underrated and extremely interesting tribe, namely the Beaver tribe. This tribe doesn't have any special vehicles, and I really mean it, no single one, nor armor, which leaves them very vulnerable and grounded. So this tribe should get a low power ranking, right?
Right. Wrong. Wrong.
I gave them a ranking of 15,000 points, and that is not out of the blue, because they have an exceptional morale. They always want to be productive and make things. Like we see in the show once, if this drive is focused onto the war machine, that they can achieve impressive goals. And if not for the brilliant strategy of Vanguard, which was
You'll hit him with a decoy and flank him from behind tactic,
they actually would have won the battle against the Ice Tribe without Fire Chief, which is incredible considering all the other tribes, and even all the other tribes combined, failed to beat back or even slow down the Ice Ranger's initial offense, and that is why they deserve this power ranking. The only thing drawing them back, except the things I mentioned before, like poor military strategy, lack of armor, and lack of offensive chi use, is just an addiction to their work. We see this exact weakness being exploited by the wolves, and because of this easy exploit, they get bogged down. But without that, I would give them a power ranking of 17,500 points. Now we go on to the meme tribes, and those are of course the Nomads. And they're not really interesting, so let's just blaze through them. Skunks, basically extinct, 50 power ranking points. Foxes, one of a kind, 250 power ranking points. Peacocks, almost no information, 25 power ranking points. So those were the good tribes of Season 1, people. Next episode we're going to take a look at the bad and evil tribes, and of course the tribes that were introduced later, like the fire tribes. So yeah, I hope you guys have an amazing day. This was done from the Chima channel, and goodbye.